Okay, for those of you watching, it's a first attempt at sculpting the brain. And I'm sculpting it using what's called a 3D printing pen, but I think that's a bit inaccurate. I think it's more accurate to say it's an extrusion pen. Oh gosh, there are 10 of you here. I'm not used to talking on these live streams. Generally don't, but I will try and answer your questions. I'll try and talk my way through it. This is hard because it's just an experiment for me. I find this very relaxing. So right now I'm extruding part of the front cortex of the brain. So I'm just enjoying the process, and I'm using the process to actually learn more about the brain. This is the way I learn. I can't learn by just looking at a drawing. I have to make it. I either have to draw it out or make it. And I figured to actually feel the way the brain evolves is the best way to learn it. So this has never been done before. I've never seen anyone do this before. It's kind of hard for me to do this live because I'm making it with
Maybe we can get some pizza or some
oh god,
chicken.
let's stop the adverts.
And Church's Brew Awards.
Let's stop the adverts.
Save real fast when you sign up and get free chicken. Sign up and Brew Awards today.
So it's delivery day, and I just got my third curative for the house. Clearly, I have an obsession, but I'm okay with it, and I just love.
Thank you. Let's get back to it. Where shall I go? Okay. Oh, try and bring it back into frame. This is really hard for me to focus on what I'm doing, as well as keyframe and stop it blowing out. It's I'm trying to enjoy what I'm doing, but it's kind of hard to watch the screen at the same time. So I'll do my best to answer questions as I go along. Prefer not talking. Right, I'm going to see if I can get this gyri tap just to change directions a bit. Okay, I'm getting there. So I'm doing the frontal cortex of the right hemisphere. And in actual fact, I know that this part of the brain that I'm sculpting right now is to do with proprioception during tumbling. So for example, high divers, this part of the area swells up. Receiving a visual cue of where your body is. In relation to balance. So this part of the brain, if you're doing a lot of tumbling, it will actually start to swell, it will actually develop and fatten up. And it's located on the, I'm going to put it, let me describe. On the lateral portion of the right hemisphere of the frontal cortex. And I'm going to double check whether I've got that right or if it's actually the left portion of the brain, but I do know that proprioception is developed here. So if you have a very good proprioception level, this part of your brain will fatten up. It's important for people like doing gymnastics and tumbling, high diving, ballet, pirouettes, that's another one. And I'm crap at pirouettes, so I need to focus more on developing that part of my brain. Okay. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. looks like my plasma ball is wearing a brain wig. I'm sitting it on a plasma ball so that I can sculpt the brain with the plasma ball, and it just kind of looks like it's wearing a wig. Okay. See if I can finish the frontal cortex of the left hemisphere now.
Commercial buyers have a very particular set of skills. They can hunt down the latest trends.
Double denim is back. So chic.
And take quality very, very seriously. They're highly trained deal-making professionals who travel far and
Come
wide
on.
to hustle the best of the best for you.
I can't stand those ads. For those of you that are interested in what I'm doing, please go ahead and ask questions and I'll try my best to answer. Although it's difficult because I'm concentrating on trying to get this right. I'll do the best I can. Once I've this first sketch of the brain, I'm probably going to start another one to correct where I've gone wrong with this one. Because, oh boy, let me just stop this advert. Ugh.
My daughter is being treated for leukemia.
Yeah. Scrunchies. No, this is actually, I think it's just PLA plastic, which I'm extruding through a 3D printing pen. They're called a 3D printing pen, but I don't think that's very accurate. It is more like a hot glue gun, but it's got pretty accurate temperature control on it. So, for example, if I'm printing with ABS, I have to print at a slightly higher temperature than PLA. But this plastic is weird. I bought this one, and it's supposed to be more like ABS plastic, but it's like a combination of the two. It's got more of the properties of PLA rather than ABS. So PLA is a more flexible plastic, it's less viscous, it's more kind of runny, and it's actually harder for me to get these gyri. But the reason why it looks foam is because I've noticed that as it's going pen, there's air inclusions in the plastic. They are bubbling up and expanding, so it looks like foam. So what I'm doing is, I'm doing a first kind of 3D sketch by extruding this filament over a plasma ball. So my plasma ball is wearing a brain wig. Yeah, so this is actually my first brain sketch, 3D, over a plasma ball. I'll expand it when it's got to the end of this extrusion. When it's got to the end of it, I'll show you. So it's just about come to the end of this filament now. It's gonna run any second. And then I'll just zoom out a bit so you can just have a look. I'll take a short break and refill the filament. Yeah, it's a brain. Right, let's just take a quick break and show you. I'm not in England, no, I'm actually based in Anaheim, near Los Angeles, but I'm British. You did catch the accent. So I'm just gonna zoom out a second. Oop. Ah, okay, my phone does not like my sweaty fingers, my clammy fingers, and the problem is because I'm using this transparent film, it's blown out, it's really white, and it's the black, it's not working very well, even if I tap the screen. Yay! Yeah, you actually see it. So let me just see and give you a better look. Okay, so let me describe. I can't. I know, I've got an idea. If I turn the screen on, it might change the contrast a bit. Oh, there we go. So it might correct a little bit. Oh, that's better. So now, let me describe where I'm at. My plasma ball is wearing a brain wig, and we've got the two hemispheres, and on the top, this is the pre-central gyri, and this is the post-central gyri. And I'm gonna just see if I can fill in more of the gyri around here, do a bit more on the temporal lobe,
You know what you don't see
here.
in psoriasis commercials?
And then I'm going to start on
Thousands of
the
real people who go
occipital
undiagnosed.
lobe, which is
People whose psoriasis
this
can look
portion,
very different depending on
and the
their
cerebellum should be
As
under
the
here.
makers of Via,
So
we
I'm just
understand that
adding
everybody's moderate to
the
severe plaque psoriasis doesn't
cerebrum,
look the same. So we undertook
the
a
cortex,
first-of-its-kind study of plaque
on the outside
psoriasis
of my
in every
brain,
cell, like hers,
which my
and
plasma
his,
ball is wearing.
and yours.
So stop the
Series
ad
of
for a
reactions
second.
in-
Skip, please. Stop that noise. So frustrating. I'm not used to talking while I'm doing these live streams because normally I'm just trying to relax, enjoy myself. So I'll do my best to explain as I'm going along what I learned about the brain and why I'm doing this. My hands are a bit crampy from holding this. Yeah, this side came about because I've been playing with this extrusion pen. I'm just gonna load it with another filament. So this is, Pet G. I don't know if you can see that. This string is in reverse. I didn't realize that. Pet G. So pet P-E-T, plastic. The extruder temperature should be between 230 and 250. I've set it at 218, which is a little bit low for this because I actually wanted it to be, when it comes out, I didn't want the melt pool to be too liquid because otherwise it will just droop and slump. So I wanted the gyri to be kind of fat, like sausages. A really interesting thing that I discovered was 3D printing some mushrooms and fungi on the side of a tree. And I noticed that when I was playing the extrusion pen, I call it an extrusion pen rather than a 3D printing pen, I noticed that it has the same macrostructure as the human brain. So it just got me thinking, oh, that's how the brain is made. It's made by the neurons daisy chaining together. So say this is 3 yards of neurons, and say this is the actual nerve thickness. Say this is the nerve thickness of the main branches of your meridians down your body. So this is about 3 yards. So I would say that is your brain traveling down to the furthest extremities, and this is my way. And this amount, about 3 yards, happens to equal 1 gyri of, which is quite interesting. Don't know. I'm learning just through observation. Hello, Beano. Hello. Hello, Beano. My bunny's underneath me. He's begging. I've got a giant bunny, and he's curious what I'm up to. So anyway, now I have to get it back up to temperature. Yeah, I often live stream with my bunnies while I'm just, you know, grooming them or whatever, doing their, what I call physical therapy. Both of my bunnies are, how can I put it? They're trauma bunnies. So my giant bunny, who I got 6 months ago, he lived his entire life in a meat farm. They can stick you with their hind claws. Actually, legs are extremely powerful compared to their spine, so they can easily dislocate and hurt their spines if you let them kick. So it's a defensive move, and they'll hurt themselves, you know, hurt their backs, break their backs, just from being traumatized and kicking. So I've had to work a lot with him. Anyway, it's up to temperature, so I'm getting the, there we go. Thanks for taking an interest in this project. Their claws, I have to constantly trim his claws. They constantly grow, but he's a constant work in process. I usually use a little grinder to grind them down with because it you know, then he doesn't struggle or kick or anything. Anyway, back to the brain. So, let's see, where shall I work now? I'll correct that in a minute. But I think, so I've got the, what do you call it, the pre-central gyri here, and this is the post-central gyri, which isn't finished yet. So I'm going to go and finish this one. See if I can gyri. Now, I'm not sure what the post-central gyri is mainly responsible for. Oh, I get it. No, I get it. Actually, I do have a sense of what the post-central gyri is for. Kind of, yeah. I think it's actually an integration of all your senses. So the visual cortex is in the occipital, so behind the post-central gyri. But the interesting thing is about the post-central gyri is that because it's in the center of the brain, it's where all your senses combine. So you've got your temporal lobes, like either side, they're where your hearing is processed, and you know, for things like your speech, and your parietal lobes, which is your muscular action, and your occipital, which is behind it, which is all your visual processing. So your post-central gyri combines all of your senses so that you can make sense of the world. And as the brain moves forward into the pre-central gyri, you develop your intent, your action. Thanks for giving me the thumbs up, by the way. Was that you?
I have a TV show.
You gave me a thumbs up. Thanks.
I also have ulcerative colitis.
Yeah, yeah,
Getting to the point where I
okay.
can be this open about.
Lady, I hear you all the time, and it's boring. Okay. So I'm getting to the end, the post-central gyri. Nearly there. Yeah, thanks for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. I've not usually spent much time talking on these live streams because I'm normally just chilling and just playing the music and just watching the show, and I'm totally in my head, just enjoying it, you know? It's really difficult for me to articulate what I'm thinking, because when you speak, it's a very narrow communication compared to what's going on. It's like I have several window tabs open in my head at the same time, and I'm thinking about 8 different things at the same time. So just absorbing myself in this and me to calm my brain. Right, I have now reached the end of the post-central gyri. I'm going to stop it there, and I'm going to add the, what do we call it? The temporal lobe starts about here. I'll start this one. So, yes, I'm very familiar with synesthesia because I get a lot of aberrant synesthesia. Synesthesia, I believe, is actually really, really common neurodivergency. It's where your senses are kind of cross-wired. So instead of just seeing what you see and hearing what you hear, your brain is the gyri somehow just next to each other, and they're bleeding in each other. So you end up doing things like feeling sound in your body, or other people describe tasting color, or I don't know what other examples there are. I'm just thinking of, for example, my one is I can feel sound. Another one, which is kind of strange to me, is perception of temperature visually. Like I can look at something and know roughly if the temperature gradient is kind of sucking out of my body. Yes, you can acquire synesthesia, but you can also develop it. It's actually a fun thing to develop. And I say develop as though when we document neuroscience, people are like, oh, this is what this area of the brain is for, that's what that area of the brain is for. But I've actually found that if you sit with yourself and figure out your little weirdnesses of your own being, you can actually figure out your own sense of feeling, your own mental health, and that's actually what your brain is always rewiring. You know, it's always plastic, it's always putting effort into different areas of the way you perceive the world, and it triangulates between different senses.
If you don't want to lose 40 pounds in 2 months.
Okay, please stop with these pathetic adverts. They're just awful. It's like, right. And where was I? Being able to be comfortable with the way your brain is perceiving things, and just sitting with it and understanding. How can I give an example of that? Think of an example without spooking people here. Did you know that trauma is a form of brain damage? So I've got this weird gift, I don't know, of being able to feel where I've got this weird gift of being able to feel where my brain is active. I can feel the flow in my own brain. So when I get blank experience, like when my brain feels dead in certain parts, I'm always like, how can I get to it? How can I get to that part of my brain? Because whatever is there, I can't. Like, for example, if I go through a phase where I can't speak, it becomes difficult to speak. I know what that feels like in brain. It's like there's a blockage. It's like not synapsing there. It's to try and speak, sometimes it feels like so heavy, as though there's no energy moving towards the muscles of my mouth. Like, forget it. I can only have the concept of what to say, like the meaning, but I can't find the words for it, or I find the words and they don't reach my mouth. And then I know I've got a problem and I need to heal a bit before I can speak. If that makes any sense. It happens quite often with me, unfortunately. I actually had seizures today, which sucked. I don't suffer epilepsy, but I do get overloaded. when I'm motivated with stress, it's the same thing. Right, I'm just gonna add something here to this part of the brain. So I'm not sure whether it was on the left or the right side of the brain, but right here at the frontal cortex, I think it's behind the left eye, so it's laterally on the frontal cortex. There's a gyri which loops, and it's actually in charge of your proprioception. So if you're a diver or you do pirouettes, or this part of the brain will get rather fat, which is really cool. So there are ways of making your brain fatter in different areas. No, the seizures were a cause of stress. I have a condition called mast cell, and mast cells are present everywhere in your body, and especially in the gut. So if I get extremely stressed, it triggers a reaction, and I get a anaphylaxis in my gut, which is extremely painful, and then I can't eat. But if I get stressed, that also affects the brain, because there are mast cells in the brain that also cause like this domino effect of inflammation. Inflammation blocks off blood flow in the brain and there's a seizure. So it's not epilepsy, it can happen at any time, but it's very related levels. And so I try and manage that stress. This is my outlet. It's not hereditary, it's acquired. So mast cell head condition, that's a degradation of your immune cells. It's a disease of the immune system. And the immune system, how can I put it? Through chronic stress, it starts to lose control. And normally where it senses an allergen, say, it decides that you're suddenly allergic to something random. Like you could be allergic to your tattoo and your tattoo will start to blister and bleed and the ink will leak out. Or in my case, I could be allergic to certain foods. I'm actually not allergic to certain foods, but the problem is with the immune system is that it can forget the allergies almost as quickly as it develops allergy. So it's like I've become allergic to stress, and that allergy, I have to have an EpiPen with me because it will just kick off and swell up my gut, and I'll literally look like I'm pregnant within minutes, you know? It's really painful. But it also does the same thing in my brain, so that pressure builds up, like the fluids build up in the brain, and do a little bit of brain damage, but I can heal from it. I can heal from it with proper sleep and just looking after myself. It just sucks. It just really sucks. So I'm gonna do it lost its temperature. Yeah, it's a chronic condition. I actually really made good progress this year. I'm gonna zoom back in again so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just charging the pen up. It's getting up to temperature. I did really well this year, and when I was diagnosed, I was really, really sick. Mast cell is on the cancer line, and it develops into different types of cancers, including leukemia, lymphoma, colorectal cancer, sarcoma of the bone, cancer of the bone. And I was showing all symptoms for all different lines of cancer about a year ago, and I fought it back into remission, but it's come back again, and I'm not doing very well at the moment. So I'm hoping that I can fight it back again, but unfortunately I'm gonna have to have surgery in the new year. I've got a bunch of abnormal cells just pop up. So it's just kind of, it's attempting to kill me. Whatever. Can't remember what this gyri is called. I'll look it up on the map. But anyway, once I've experimented with this brain and I can see where I can improve, I'll do a second one. And it's been an important project for me because I've learned so much about healing through understanding brain. Ooh, that's cool. Can you see the plasma through the hemispheres? I just realized that you can see the plasma. That is awesome.
Sometimes it can feel like there's no way out of treatment-resistant depression. You take one antidepressant after another, and they aren't working for you.
I don't want to hear that. Come
Go in
on.
circles. Turn to a different.
Do you know what depression actually is? This is something I learned through my gift of feeling the flow in my brain. Depression is actually the synapses lacking energy and bleeding out before they finish their destination. So things like your peristalsis, your peristalsis slow down, your gut slows down because it's just unable to finish its destination, you know, it's sort of bleeding out before. Leaky brain syndrome. And yes, it is a dopamine deficiency. Dopamine is like an accelerator in the brain. So right now, I can't remember the name of this particular gyri that I'm working on, but it is moving into the occipital region. I think it's at the boundary of the occipital. And the occipital region is where you process your visual information. It's also your spatial awareness. I think actually this one is responsible for spatial awareness. And it's situated right behind this temporal lobe. So anyway, trying to mirror both sides of the brain is really hard. It's like I do one side and I do one side better than the other side, and it's like, no wonder my right hand side of my brain is so messed up. I've noticed that on my brain scans, the left-hand side of my brain, I seem to be left-hand dominant, are really formed and fat gyri, and my right side of my brain has a kind of rotational aspect where I think it's the front right hemisphere is all kind of weak and squiggly and just not very formed. Hands to find random objects and visualize them. Yeah, that's a really important thing. There is actually a psychology related to hand movements. So for example, if your writing shrinks, if your handwriting shrinks, that's called micrographia. So pay attention to, if you start developing micrographia, it's actually a sign of depression, because what happens is your brain is unable to maintain the strength of the synapse through the stroke of the letter that you're forming with your hand. So what do? You shrink the movement of your hand, your fingers, to to match the strength of the synapse. So the stronger the synapse in your brain, the less like you are to get micrographia. So I pay attention to my handwriting. When I notice it gets a bit spidery and it starts shrinking, because that's the only way I can control the, what do you call it, the shakiness, if you like, the lack of control. That's a symptom of the depression coming in. And depression isn't like, oh, my mood is sad. No, the depression is simply the lack of energy behind the science to finish where it's supposed to go, the lack of power behind that stroke. So my fingers become weaker. I can't maintain the handwriting as neatly, you know. Yeah, I love brains. They're so fascinating. I love studying my own MRIs. I see things in it and I'm like, oh, I bet the neurologist didn't pick that up. It's fascinating to me because if I've had small, they're called infarcations. They're called infarcations. If you look at your brain scan and you see these little white flecks, little, what do you call them, like little fireflies on the brain, those are like small infarcations of where the burn just got brained out, and it's like a little scar. Shut up! I don't like these.
Beckett's
just
amazing.
go
He's
away.
a miracle.
Yeah, like every child is a miracle child, right? I heard it all before. Okay, here we go. Let's carry on. Yeah, it is a sad commercial. They're all really, but you know, the interesting thing is, having been through a lot of mental difficulties myself, when you become cognitively impaired, your awareness shrinks. So in my case, I wasn't aware of my suffering because it was kind of normalized. The bar was lowered, you know. So for a period of time when I was unable to talk, I was unable to look after myself actually. It was like I was 2 and I had to regrow my sense of self from that. And that was actually a fascinating experience because I was in awe of everything, just like a toddler is, you know. It's harder for the people that love you, you know. I mean, if you die, it's harder for the people that love you. Dying itself is not that hard. I think I have come to accept mortality now. It happened. After my diagnosis a year ago, I had to make end-of-life choices, and I'm good with it. If it happens, I'm good. So I live every day now just being grateful. Just being grateful for what I've got. So I moved to the occipital area of the brain. Okay, I'm gonna take a look at the brain maps again. You've researched NDEs and everyone says it's great. Yeah, it is pretty great. I kind of, if it happens to me again, I'm not scared. I'm really not scared of it. You know? It completely changed my experience of my, how can I put it, my goals in life. It made me realize I have to do something, and I have this urge to do something now with my life, whatever's left of it, to leave something behind, leave a legacy behind. So, how we doing? It's getting there, isn't it? Oh, sorry, I'll bring it into focus again. It's getting there. This is my first attempt, and I'm not really expecting this to be great, so I'm just learning how I can do things better. I'm learning the techniques, and then hopefully on the next one I'll do a better job. So I'm just repeating the same gyri on the other hemisphere. Oh cool, you can see the hemispheres and the little plasma underneath it. That looks so cool. So I don't know what I'm doing with this sculpture, but I like the process. I think I like the idea. I'm still developing the idea, but my goal is to sculpt the brain in a way that enables an explanation of the 3D pen. Sorry, so my 3D pen, I can't remember what brand this one is. Actually, I've got the box over there. I better pull it out. This particular 3D pen was like $6, and it was the most expensive one I could find. Because I use the cheaper ones and I burn them out a lot. Is there a cheaper one over there? There is, actually. So I can show you a cheap one and show you the difference between that one and the expensive one. And I've used so many, and I burned my way through them until I thought, okay, I'm just going to spend the money now and just get a really nice one. So this particular pen has got nice temperature control on it, and it's got a higher range. I think it goes up to 240 degrees. And the cheaper ones, they don't go up to 240, they'll go up to like maybe 210, which means that you cannot print ABS, and you definitely can't print PU rubber. You can only print PLA, which is the sort of beginners type plastic. PLA is great. It's kind of a flexible, rubbery material, but I prefer playing with it because it's got a more glassy texture, and even though it's brittle, for sculpting, I like the ABS more. So when I reach the end of this gyri, I will pull out the other 3D pen and show you the difference between the cheap one and this $60 one. So what I found when I'm buying the 3D pen, yeah, my channel is all about art that I make, and I've never been really good at narrating any of it. I've spoken about it, I just do, because I can't help myself, I just do. And most of the art that I've done is mostly underwater video art. I love underwater visuals. but unfortunately, I don't like the way my channel is perceived, so I renamed it. A lot of a particular kind of audience that makes me feel that I'm thirst posting or something, and I'm not. I just enjoy underwater flow art and just playing with the expression of dance underwater. It's very freeing. I feel the water around me, I feel the flow in my body, I love it. But unfortunately, it's been fetish mined. I call it fetish mining.
Most people saw 90% clear.
And I'm not about that at all, but so that's why I've just moved away from it. So a lot of the stuff on my channel, yeah, it's mostly underwater art, water ballet. There's some flow art where I love doing stunts and flying. I love doing the traveling rings, but I haven't done that for a while. I've actually got a hip replacement which is failing, so I'm pre-having for surgery. I'm trying to build up my muscle ready for surgery when it all atrophies away again. My channel is about healing as well, because I've had to work so hard to overcome this disease, and I'm not really talking about it much because I don't want to focus on, oh, I've got this disease. I'm greedy, I just want to get stronger and stronger, so I lay all the time. I don't want to proselytize about this do to heal, because I hear too many of those adverts on YouTube and it ticks me off. My goal is just to enjoy. Yeah, ginger. I mean, my kitchen is an apothecary. I have I can see from here about 40 different herbs that I use for healing. And I've never gone to the effort of explaining it yet. Right, I'm just going to take a little pause there and show you the 3D pens I use. So, just a quick explanation. This 3D pen has a really nice visual temperature display. Set it to different materials with the little plus and minus button. And I can't get this camera to focus on it, it's all blown out. But there's a really nice scale here showing that it's actually set for ABS, which is closer to the PET plastic. This one is the one that I most recently broke, and this was a really cheap pen. It was like $20, and they're actually really cheap now. They sell them for about $15 or less. And the display is simply the temperature, and you have the plus and minus to make the temperature higher or lower. But it doesn't really accept many different materials. It only accepts PLA. So, I burned this one out. Another thing I look for with the 3D pens is the power rating. So on this particular pen, it says it's 2 amp rating, right? But in actual fact, it doesn't use the full 2 amps. And the reason why I know that is because the temperature couldn't go above 210 degrees. It actually needs, so every use has a certain heat capacity, and things like rubber require, they suck a lot of heat out as the pen is extruding. They suck a lot of heat out. So the pen has to be powerful enough to keep the melt pool hot. Otherwise, it's going to slow down, and slowing down changes the shape of the extrusion. So this is an PLA, So you see here this structure. This is PLA. No, this is PU. So this is PU rubber, and you can see it's less viscous. It's more runny. It's not able to hold the structure of gyri. So instead what you have is this really cool, it looks like an omentum, you know, the nervous system of your gut, which is like this fatty apron. It looks like that, kale, like algae or seaweed. And so this is really fascinating to me because I needed the harder material like PET or ABS to make the brain gyri fat and solid. But the PU, the rubber, forms this really nice drippy extrusion, which Slimer from Ghostbusters. Yeah, I mean, when I first did this, I was like, this is disgusting. I don't like it. But in actual fact, I really like this now. So what I did was I extruded this onto a solar panel. And if I turn the solar panel on, there's like a little lamp underneath, right? So now I've got like this little solar wood algae lamp, which I can hang from a tree, and like people are like, this slime from the tree. It's pretty cool. So there's my slime hat from tree. It's cool, right? I really like it. Yeah, this is so fun, this extrusion hobby. Being able to make and draw 3D shapes, but it's not really it's extruding. So you can draw things if you run a piece of paper, let it harden, and then peel it off and make your 3D structures. But I have so much more fun with this extrusion process. That is so cool. So this is exactly like the brain of your gut, called the omentum. It's made of 2 different types of neurons that control the CNS and the autonomic nervous system. So your peristalsis is controlled through this. But
Maybe
also
we can get some pizza or some chicken.
Church's
Bit.
keep it real. In Church's real awards, it's
so this omentum in your gut, which has this kind of structure, produces all the serotonin you need for your brain. And this is this structure somehow it controls your depression. So it's kind of, I don't know why, but the 3D printing thing, I don't like to call it 3D printing. It is extrusion. I wish they'd just call them extrusion pens. But anyway. And actually, I do have a box of this pen. I'm just going to pull it out and show you now so you can see the box it came in. Right. I've got another box somewhere. Oh, there it is. I found it. Right. So here's the box for this pen. And just so you're aware, this is the Mint 3D printing pen. This was about $60, and I got 2 of these because I'm always burning them out. So I always you know, get new ones. So I'll just explain a few of the different reels. So this is all PLA actually, and you can tell the difference between PLA and ABS. PLA has this kind of glossy finish. That's PLA as well, but it's transparent PLA. This is transparent PLA. And some of this is actually neon or day glow. But these are all the samples that come with the pen. And then I buy myself reels of the stuff. I buy it by the kilo. And I'll just quickly show you that. Let me just... don't look at me. Okay. There's my reels of printing reels over there. No. Yeah, maybe not. Oh, that's interesting. That's a piece of art I did, and that's a piece. Oh, yeah, that's all my artwork around the room. I can show you if you want. Where did I buy that? Oh, so the 3D printing pen I bought off Amazon, and I'm just gonna show you around. So first of all, this is the current project I'm working on, which is the brain. You can see I've still got to build the occipital lobe at the back, the occipital lobe, and the rest of the cerebellum. So my plasma ball's brain hat is looking pretty good, my brain wig. So this was a painting of one of my friends who happened to be really good at yoga, and I decided to figure out what her nerve lines were, because I was like interested in learning about nerves of the body. This is me from about 6 years ago, I think. I noticed I had an enlarged spleen, which is there in the painting, and it's actually to do with breath holding. Makes your spleen bigger, because your spleen becomes like a blood battery of oxygenated blood. This painting is the hormones of the body. So you can see in here, let me see. Okay, we've got the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, the thymus, which is here on top of the heart, the hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus over there. This is a thyroid, and then the adrenal glands on top of the knees, the gonads, which in my case is ovaries, blah blah blah. So get a close look at that. I've done things like evolution maps, more evolution maps. Yikes. Okay. I just parallel bars in my house for working out and just doing my prehabbing. This is my hip replacement. It's on a pin jointed painting. Ballet legs. Pin jointed, and that's my hip replacement, which is coming out. They're ripping all of this out because the hip replacement is failing now, and it's failing because it never fit me. It didn't fit me, so it was callousing up my muscle, and the muscle snotting up and inflaming and diseasing my everything. This is my heart muscle, the inside of the heart muscles in an underwater project again. I love underwater stuff, if you hadn't noticed. The water is my theme, you know? Yes, I was always trying to figure out why I was so freaking ill and trying to battle with disease for the last 10 years. This is, I think this is the first painting I ever did. And here I'm looking at my vertebrae, and I discovered I have an extra rib, an extra pair of ribs, which normally people have floating ribs, but I seem to have like 14 pairs in the normal. No, that wasn't the first painting I did. This is the first painting I did. This one. And then this is a painting of another one of my friends who was in a car accident. And she has a metal plate over her brain. So she had a serious brain injury. And she lost her memory. And yet, she was able to ballet and do all these pirouettes. And she doesn't remember learning ballet. So I was like, oh, she's fascinating. I'll study her. And then these paintings, my 3D paintings of the hands, the bones, and they're cut out of a single piece of, what do you call it? They're cut out of a single piece. So have I ever had an art show? Yes, I did, because it wasn't really like a big deal. It was, I just did it in the dance studio. And these paintings were all, I just drew around my hand and then cut it out and then sculpted it. So yeah, like just. And this, actually this painting here is one of Professor's. I took her to, it's difficult to see that one actually, it's in the dark. Anyway, there's more, it just goes on and on. I paint disease. This isn't all of my paintings. I haven't got them all out. I just put what I can up. I'm gonna plug this back in now. And carry on. So, where's the power cord? I need to plug my phone back in because otherwise it will break up. Ah, there we are. Just gonna plug you back in. Right. Meg, let's carry on. It's got to heat up again. Oh, no. Yeah, art is a good legacy, I guess. It's just that it's not really, how can I put it? Everything I do, I feel like it's never complete. The notes, by the way, behind on here. It's just, so I don't know how to type this, but I feel the flow in my brain. It's like I have these, I don't know what you call them. It's not hallucinations. It's like, go away, go away. It won't let me finish. It won't let me skip it. Go away, please. Oh no, not another one.
This bottle says that stuff has way more water, a little long way. So you can save your shirt.
I just want to skip the ads, but it won't let me skip. Is it heated up
Better
yet?
clean with less?
It's nearly.
It's got to be tied.
Yeah, go away. Right, okay. Back to my brain. I think the brain's looking pretty good. Yeah, the ads are annoying. if I could afford, I would just pay to not listen to them. I'm in a bit of a bind. So I'm gonna pull the map up and see where I'm at again. See. I need to work my way down the occipital. Got it. Ooh. Okay. So, I need to go that way. Got it. So that one goes that way as well. Okay, so got it. I know where I'm going now with this. I don't know the name of this Gyri though, so I've got the maps in front of me, so I'm reading them as I go around, and it helps me to learn about the brain a bit more. So let's see. What kind of zigzags? Okay. My throat is feeling a bit sore. I had a meeting today. I scared the living crap out of them. I know I'm very capable of healing my brain though. Because even when I get these brain insults, it can heal, it goes away, it gets better a bit, you know? I'm used to it. I'll try and get this a better angle for you to see. Let's see. I know. I'll go this way. Go this way. There. How's that? Better? So freaking cool. It's really cute, huh? Like with the plasma ball underneath. I definitely have to do a second one once I've got a little bit better at sketching it. Call it sketching. This is just a sketch. This is just my first attempt. So. Yeah, 50s sci-fi vibe. I like that. Thanks for spending the time with me. I appreciate it. I'm not normally talking while I do this, and I quite enjoy my own brain. I quite enjoy it, but I haven't expressed all my thoughts. There's a lot going on in here, and I'm just chilling with it and relaxing. Hello, Beano. baby. Oh, it just run out. Okay, I need to get another filament. Well, I used to ignore the questions mainly because people, you got to ask the right question, you know. I had someone, I first got on the stream and I'm used to this question and then I'm just like ignoring it. So first person comes on is like, hello dear, are you bored dear? And I'm like, really? Come on. So I'm bored. I'm really focused. Dark chocolate. Did you know that dark chocolate generates stem cells if you are fasting and you fast and you do dark chocolate before you enter a fast? It generates stem cells in your gut to heal your gut and therefore heal depression. Yeah, right? Grundle cheese. I am totally the opposite of boredom. I am never bored. I'm always doing something and I'm always productive. I'm always doing something. So I don't know where that question came from, but I'm just like, okay. Yep. Well, now you know. Dark chocolate stimulates the stem cell release from your gut. And then another interesting fact is, I didn't know this until today, but apparently the uterus creates stem cell. And my doctor recently told me I should have a hysterectomy. And well, if you'd asked me that 20 years ago, I would have been like, yay, I'm up for it, because never want kids, blah, blah, blah. But in those days, they were like, no, you can't have a hysterectomy. What if you change your mind? And all of a sudden, maybe you should have a hysterectomy. And I'm like, but I need my hormones. Only to discover, like literally very recently, that the uterus produces stem cells. And I'm like, I need all the stem cells I can get. I need to heal. So I'm just going to reload my pen. More ads. Wonderful.
Is your dog overweight? More than half of all dogs in the U.S. are. Portioning is often a big problem.
So,
the farmer's dog offers fresh with real meat and vegetables
that
comes pre-portioned to your dog's
hang on a second.
nutritional needs. Best of all, dogs that help.
Does a hysterectomy remove libido? No, libido is actually more affected by testosterone levels, and the uterus doesn't produce testosterone. Muscles produce testosterone, not your uterus. So there are hormones produced in the uterus that are relevant only for female hormones, but as an organ that men don't have, they're missing out, you know? But now it's been reset. You know, it's funny you should say, you should be a doctor. You know what? My parents always wanted, well, my mother in particular, she wanted me to be a doctor. But I had such early life trauma that I couldn't face talking about the body. It would give me PTSD and like super anxiety, and I would throw up and biology lessons. Couldn't do it. And when I first became ill, I just discovered how bad the medical system was, and I thought, well, even though I'm learning to heal myself, can you imagine being a doctor and being tell people, well, you can't heal unless you lose weight or something like that. I mean, no, I couldn't as a doctor in this current medical system. I couldn't be able to do it. I couldn't people heal themselves, you have to heal yourself. The doctor should guide you, and the doctors here don't guide you. It's not their job. They just write the prescriptions. And that's not the way healing works. Right. Carry on with the right hemisphere. I think my goal is proving to people that you can heal. I think I've gone a little bit beyond Reiki. I found my healing methods and I now want to sort of like put them out in the world and publish and tell people what that is. So when I go on medical leave, I'll be figuring out how to compile a book, and I think that's why I started talking on this stream. I actually wanted to gather my thoughts and start articulating it and practicing how I'm going to talk, and maybe even use some excerpts from my live streams that are just transcribed automatically and just plop them in, because I really want to focus on the arts, the illustrations, the sculptures, and then use my talking to explain it, if that makes sense. Yeah? So where am I on this map? I'm lost. Oh, I get it. No, I get it. I'm totally, yeah, I'm here. Ha. Dude, that looks so cool. Like the brain, it's alive. It's alive. My brain is alive. It's doing it. Oh, I'm so happy with that. Yeah, so my goal is to do my art, my sculptures about healing. And then on the live stream, figure out how I'm talking about it, how I'm getting this junk out of my brain, the way I think about healing. And then take those excerpts and plot them in a book and edit what I'm talking about to save on the writing, you know? I mean, I don't know how to turn my notes. See this, like, this is crazy. And this is what I see in my head all the time. It never stops. It never stops. And I have to doodle it to get it out my brain. And I realized what I see in my head is, yeah, I kind of don't want to go into it right now because it really, it's based on quantum physics. And that's a whole other thing. It will take me too long to explain. I would have to spend another live stream on it, but I might do that sometime, but I need, those are notes going towards a, what do you call it, a piece of art based on quantum physics to explain how our brains are actually quantum computers. So, and why, like how they are made up as quantum computers is quite fascinating. So I said before, I have several tabs in my brain open at the same time. One of those tabs that I can at any time is these shapes, these kind of superstrings or whatever, that are constantly moving and interacting with each other, and it's as though it's not a hallucination. A hallucination would be like a projection overlaid onto what I'm seeing. It's not, because it's always there in the background, and I tune it out. When I'm healthy, I can tune it out. When I'm not healthy, I can't tune it out. But I know what it is. I know where it, because I've lived with it for years, and I always wondered what the hell it was I was seeing. Like, why am I seeing these shapes that constantly interact? Like, is this what everyone sees? Does everyone see this? Or is it just me? And I think a lot of people do them, but they don't understand what they are. And if I can describe mathematically, that's a fascinating thing. If you can describe those mathematically, the only way you can get the function to describe those shapes is to use imaginary numbers. And imaginary numbers are based on an orthogonal is that no, it's the fifth. They're based on an orthogonal projection of the fourth dimension. That's going to sound stupid. Okay, how can I put this in words? So, do you know what a manifold is? A manifold is a surface shape, a flat shape that exists in a 3D world. So, a flat surface is a two-dimensional, right? It's just 2 dimensions. But in the 3D world, it becomes a manifold that twists in many directions. Like, I can't remember the names of them exactly, but anyway, where was I? Okay, so I have to do this gyri next. Is it this one next? Yeah, it goes here. Oh, anyway, so what I was saying was, these manifold shapes are mathematically possible with distant numbers, with numbers that, let me explain. The square root of a number is always a positive number, right? Well, what if you have the square root of a number which is negative? I mean, negative and a negative makes a positive, right? But in the imaginary world, it doesn't. It exists in another dimension. And we call these numbers imaginary. So how is my brain able to make these projections with imaginary numbers if they don't exist? Well, the answer is they do exist. And they exist in quantum. Therefore, my brain is a quantum computer. Everyone's brain is a quantum computer. We're just aware of how to harness it, how to use it. Unless you know how those shapes work, how they're made. And this is the first time I've come out with it to anyone. Yeah, the computer comparison. Everyone's so afraid of AI, and my belief is that there is no need to be afraid of AI, because AI is just artificial intelligence. What you might be afraid of is artificial awareness, but awareness cannot happen without quantum computing. That's where our awareness comes from. It comes from
Go ahead. Live deliciously. Okay, me. Fire.
nested,
Secrets to the sun.
nested thoughts, nested perceptions. So this is the occipital. Am I good with math? Do you know what's really funny? So, as young, I was a polymath. I was able to do polynomial equations by the time I was 10. But I'm actually number blind. Can't see numbers. It's like I'm dyslexic when it comes to numbers. And yet, I can perceive mathematics much faster by using their geometry, the shape of how they combine, the shape of how these numbers group together and combine. So that's my way of approaching mathematics and engineering. But if to write numbers on a sheet, I literally can't do the maths. It's like I have to learn it all. I used to be good at it, and I know that it's something that has to be exercised or you lose it, but in my case, something must have happened during one of my seizures or something where I just lost it. I have a great spatial awareness and a great ability to do, by just intuition, by the understanding of proportion and spatial awareness and the interaction of shapes and forces, I can figure things out. But numerically, I'm far from accurate. There is more error than being able to just do maths. So that's my weakness. I also can't recognize faces. Prosopagnosia, which is kind of funny because I only realized the other day that facial recognition comes from the fold in the brain which is the first fundamental impotent memory that you have of your mother's face. When you're born and you're looking at her and you develop the sense of proportion of looking at her face. And that is where your facial recognition comes from. And it's actually based on the Fibonacci sequence. So to be able to map someone's face, the brain uses the folds, which is near where I am actually. Extruding. It's actually over here, right there. It's at the occipital, one of the occipital folds in the brain. And somehow mine's damaged. So I can't recognize. When I realized this happened was when I walked in front of a mirror one day and I couldn't recognize myself. And I was like, whoa. I look like that? Like, when did I get old? When did I get old? And I was like, that's obviously me, but I can't recognize myself. And then I realized, well, damn. For years I had been working around recognizing people, and I had normalized it where I couldn't recognize people from their faces. I would go by the way they walked, the sound of their voice, their haircuts, all the shoes they were wearing, or the bag that they were holding. It would rub on their thighs or whatever. The materials that they used, or the earrings they wore, or, you know, realized, damn, this is such a big workaround to have to do this all the time. I would often not greet people because I would wait for them to speak first. So, and that's when I recognized what it was, and I went Googling and found that it was called prosopagnosia. And it's also in the similar location in the brain as the ability to do maths, which for me is I can do maths, but I have numbers here, so how does that work? Well, for me, it's all something to do with the ability to do interaction between shapes. So, for example, I can visualize a map in 3D, and I can find my way. I can figure out how to find my way from A to B in the map described in 2D, but in 3D. So a lot of people wouldn't be able to do that because they would look at the map at 2D and they would have to think really hard about how to use that map to navigate. Well, my spatial awareness is already set that it can take that 2D information and it can render a 3D world from it so that I can figure out as I'm going along my trajectory where I'm going to turn left, where I'm going to go straight ahead, and where I'm going to turn right. As a set of information, a linear set of information that I know what I'm supposed to do by looking at a 2D map. Weird. I like my brain. She's looking good, isn't she? She's looking good. I'm really pleased. She's getting there. I'm amazed you understood what I was saying. Like, I'm really amazed. I just thought I was just rambling for a second there. Just... Honestly, I think one should have a mental breakdown. It's a gift. It's like, when I had a mental breakdown, I didn't care about anything. It was like, just imagine being 2 again and having no responsibility, because you can't have responsibility because you're freaking 2. It's brilliant. So, yeah, everyone deserves to have a mental breakdown. It's great. You learn so much when you come back from that. It's hilarious. It's great. Yeah, you're right. A mental breakdown is like a factory reset for your brain. I'm stealing that. It's so true. You get to reparent yourself. All those things that your parents told you and the cognitive dissonance when you grow up and you realize they're talking shit. You get to rebuild that. You know?
You know what you don't see in psoriasis commercials? The thousands of real people.
I think where that came from as well. I just had a thought. So my mental breakdown happened as a result of emotional trauma. Oh, that freaking movie, Lucy. Yeah, I loved it. I did. I can't remember what happened in it. Unfortunately, I do have a really bad memory, but I know that it was a good movie. I know somehow I related to it. So, where was I? Oh yes, emotional trauma. So, you know, like, when you're a child and you grow up believing that your parents love you and therefore whatever suffering you go through, when you have a bad memory, you're reinforcing your subconscious. Yeah. So when your parents, you grow up thinking when you're a child that your parents love you, and even though you feel bad, you have to suppress that because they love you. That's what love is. It's conditional. It's conditional on you behaving well. So emotionally, logic is just messed up. because you've essentially, you're building your logic on flawed foundation which is going to fall down at any time because someone's going to come along in your life and mess you up and going to gaslight you, and they're going to abuse you and just behave really badly, and you're going to accept it thinking that that is love until you can't cope anymore and it all implodes. And so then you go through this mental breakdown, this factory reset of your brain, which tells you that feeling of good or feeling of bad is actually more important. You should listen to that feeling, that if it feels bad, it really is bad. So pay attention to that. And I had never paid attention to that before. So now when something feels kind of bad, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do that. So right now, all I focus on doing is I just want to do everything joy. I just want to have fun. She's looking really good. I'm really proud of her. Yeah, so recovering from PTSD is reprogramming your coping mechanism. I think that's what it was. I think it was the PTSD of having a corrupted coping mechanism that caused me to have my complete mental breakdown. And unfortunately, it's back, kind of. It's not PTSD, but the memory of it in my mast cells. Ooh, this is interesting. So it's this fold here that is in control of your prosopagnosia, your facial recognition. It's right here where I'm sculpting. Except, see there's two levels of Gyri? This is the outer surface and there's a surface underneath with a layer. It's actually the inner surface. So it's not this one here specifically, it's the one underneath. And funnily enough, where I'm heading, the direction I'm heading right now, is where your dreams are generated, the visual representation of your dreams. So if you have aphantasia, which is the lack of visual imagination, so you can't visualize an apple in your hand, for example, you can't visualize what a tree would look like. So basically the best you can do is to draw a stick dog or a stick man, round apple, like a stick man drawing.
Guy makes one mistake.
This is the part of the brain that's affected.
And a lot of people get in a lot of trouble.
There's
Cool, huh?
consequences to every action that keeps you going. What's going to happen next?
You're dealing with world issues, wars and covert activity.
It's huge in scope. I mean, it's big.
There's a sense of
What?
danger.
Okay, so there is nearly the occipital region done. And I can see the cerebellum is kind of messed up. So on my next brain sculpture, I will be fixing that. Damn, yeah, no, is it that time already? Gosh. Yeah, it's my bedtime too. And so I'm really proud of this brain. He's looking pretty good. Just the cerebellum kind of looks key. So on my next version, I'll be able to fix that. But just wondering if it's worth me breaking parts of it off, or might be able to fix it by let's see. Occipital region is not fat enough. Yeah, so I know I can improve on this. Bye. Oh, sweet. Yeah, I'll come on again during the weekend and just carry on working on it. Let's see. Bye. Thank you for chatting. I'm really proud of that. She's looking really cool. My brain hat. Woohoo! Good night, Grundle. Yeah, I know where I can improve this the next time I do it, but it's pretty cool. I like it. What I might do is improve over here. I know how I can improve it. I know. My brain hat. I think I'm going to bed. Good night.